And this brings us to an interesting point in the relationship between inflammation and our facial age, our appearance, our aesthetic age, as I like to call it. And you made a really interesting point about this, where you mentioned the impact of inflammation on athletes. And so I wanted to ask you the question, why do pro athletes often look older than they are?
This is something that puzzled me for a long time. And then the clue was really Harry Styles. I saw Harry Styles on the cover of a magazine, and I think he was 27 years old at the time. And his face was just incredibly old, especially his lower face. And I pieced together that because he's a singer, because he's subjecting his face to rapid movement, that rapid movement was preventing new fat cells from forming. Because new fat cells weren't forming, the existing fat cells had to be bigger. That was creating inflammation and weak skin. And that was like, well, okay, that's the explanation. And then I started looking at The Rock or Joe Rogan or some of these like really, buff people. You would think that their faces would be super tight, like the skin would just be like this, right? But it's not. It's like it looks like a ill-fitting suit. And the explanation with athletes is that whenever you exercise, and you'll have a period of inflammation post exercise that will be from 1 hour to 6 hours long. And the amount of inflammation, the peak inflammation, depends on the intensity of the exercise. And so during that period, right, the fat cells aren't regenerating because inflammation suppresses fat cell regeneration. Very straightforward. And so over time, these little breaks of fat cells not regenerating adds up. New fat cells aren't forming. The remaining ones have to be big. Big ones are inflamed. That weakens the skin.
Thank you for that fascinating foray into understanding that. And one of the things that I've spent a lot of time in my whole of my 30s doing has been endurance sports, strength training. I think very clear evidence is there that if we want to live our longest life, good longevity fitness is absolutely essential. But I'm also turning 40 this year. And so I'm curious, what do you see in my own face? In the terms of some younger kids around the world, we would say, roast me, bro.
Your skin is in really good shape, but where I see the weakness is with the nasolabial folds, right? So the nasolabial folds in your case, and this is very typical of you look at Joe Rogan, you look at The Rock, it's the same in all these highly intense athletes. That's where the weakness shows. Because instead of the skin being strong and propping up those nasolabial folds, that skin around the nasolabial folds is weak and it's sort of collapsing on itself. You probably think, why is that? And it's a very simple explanation.
Here's another one that we're interested in experimenting with. And it's a bit of information on your website about this. I know a lot of people, particularly women, really care about it. Is there finally a fix for cellulite?
It's too early yet to make a call. We've done 2 cellulite studies. We report on one on our website where we showed a really good effect in the most severe types of cellulite. And I think that that's pretty encouraging, right? And maybe it's because there's so much to improve that we're able to show an improvement. But cellulite is really a large fat cell condition. So the fact that the fat cells are large and inflamed explain all aspects of cellulite, the weak skin, the dimpling. And what we're seeing is that particularly in older women, women in their late 40s, 50s, and 60s, that's where we're seeing the biggest impact.
Okay, so what does a protocol look like for a woman who's interested in reducing cellulite in her, let's just say, like the upper back part of her leg? This is one of the places that you've shown some before and after data on your website. How does a woman in her 40s or 50s improve the cellulite in her legs with Adipeau?
So what I would suggest is pick one area on both legs, right? Don't treat the whole leg first. Do one area and treat that area twice a day, every day, and you will see effects after 1 month, after 2 months, after 3 months. And by treating a relatively circumscribed area, you'll see the change, and that will motivate you to do the other areas. Let's just fix one part first, and then you develop conviction, and then you say, okay, I see it, and now I'm willing to commit to the other areas. That's the way I would do it.